Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another edition of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you. It's Tuesday night. It's after 9. We had to do some reboots to make sure we were good to go. But where else would you rather wallow in your misery than with other Steeler fans right now? And with me as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich. Big Bro Scho, how's it going tonight?
Well, let's see. To quote that ever great 20th century philosopher and artist, Flava Flav, I ain't got nothing for you, man.
You ain't got nothing for me, man. I ain't got nothing for you, man. I ain't got nothing for you, man. I ain't got nothing for you, man. Yeah.
Look,
and
you know, I'm going to say
there's crap loads to talk about.
I know. But I'm going to start off by saying, Dave, thank you for taking care of the knee-jerk reaction for me, and thank you then for not making me have to sit through that. I at least was seeing some really, really good high school and junior college basketball games that I was announcing. So it's fantastic stuff. Nothing like seeing nationally ranked high school teams.
Yeah, that's always pretty cool to do.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to miss a snap. I'm not going to, because it's what I do. I mean, even if I wasn't doing it for this job, I still wouldn't want to miss a snap. But I'll tell you this. I'll share it with our audience, since I didn't share it on the post-game show. I don't know if people noticed in the post-game show. For the first time all season, I was on after a game, and I was not wearing my Cam Hayward jersey. I don't know if anyone noticed.
I did.
I was also not wearing. It looked dark, but it wasn't a black shirt. It was actually forest green.
Was it a Christmas shirt? I'm trying to remember what you had on, but I knew it was green.
It was
okay.
You know why? I'm like, it's a Saturday. I'm so tired of getting in my Steelers gear to watch the Steelers just disappoint me again. Last Sunday, things went well for the Steelers, even though they weren't playing, when I just stayed in my Christmas PJs. You know what? For the whole game, other than my big old terrible towel, and even the post game, I stayed in my Christmas PJs. I did. That's the first time I haven't worn. I mean, I wore a Steelers hat, but it's the first time I haven't gone all out in Steelers gear at home. It just didn't. I wasn't excitable because I felt like this team was just going to let me down again in Indy. And you know what? It sucks being right whenever you're negative. When you're like, oh, this team can't do anything, and then you're right. You don't want to be right. You really don't. And for the people that take joy in being right that things were bad, like they said it was going to be, whatever. I don't get that. But it's just, I feel towards the Steelers right now different than I have in a very long time. I feel towards the Steelers how I almost feel like the Steelers are towards football right now. And I think that word is indifferent.
Yes, and I was going to say more in layman terms. Yeah.
I mean, it was just, it's like, all right, I'm going to watch the game. I'll probably watch the game with our father, who will be here to do Christmas. He'll be coming just before game time. And
he told me that could end up being the worst part of the trip. He told me that today.
It's the Steelers game.
And especially the two of you to sit out having to watch the Steelers.
But when it's not going well for the Steelers, you know how it is watching with Dad. You know how it is.
Gee whiz, I know how it is when it's going good watching with Dad.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just we're kind of wallowing in our misery right now, Steelers fans, because for the first time in I don't know how long, the Steelers are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They're not. They aren't. What do they need to do to make the playoffs? Do you want to know the truth? I don't know.
Playoffs?
I'm the numbers guy. I'm always on
playoffs. You kidding
exactly.
me? Playoffs?
Exactly. But the thing is, I'm usually the one who's on top of this for people to ask. Everyone at Steel Curtain Network saying, all right, Dave, so what needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I usually have that. this is a team that's not on that path. They're not on that path. That's not their trajectory. So it's
let me just say this:
an exercise in futility.
Let's put the Steelers playoff scenario again. I'll put it in layman's terms. Ready?
Yeah.
Or as simple as I can. Win out.
Yeah.
Get help. There you go. That's what has to happen.
I'm so tired of that being what the Steelers have to do, because you know what? Even a week ago, even after dropping back-to-back games to 2-win teams, they didn't even have to do it without help. But my thing is, I'm not even looking at that to get the help, because this team is not a team that's set up to win out. I mean, honestly, if you look at their last 6 games of the season, look at the final 6. They've played 3. They got 3 left to go. They just had the easiest 3.
Oh, after they lost the second one, I said the Steelers will lose out. And I still expect that to end up being the case.
Yeah.
I do not expect the Steelers to win another game. They will finish 7-10, and Mike Tomlin will get his first losing season, and then we can quit talking about that.
I mean, because people think that matters to Tomlin, and it does not. People think that matters to the front. It doesn't. It matters to the people who talk about the Steelers, but not even all of them, because it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. You know, if he goes 9-8, 9-8, that's, I mean, I'd be fine if he went hold on, I got to make sure I'm doing this right. 13-4 after going 5-12. Go 5-12 and then 13-4. It's still the same winning percentage over a 2-year span. I don't care that one was a winning season, one was I'd rather have higher highs than just in the middle. But I want to bring up something. Okay, Richard says this. He says, do you really want them to make the playoffs to only lose? My answer is yes. If somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers can make the playoffs, well, first of all, the only way they have a chance is they got to win the rest of their games. If they win the rest of their games, then it means they've actually got their crap together. I'm not expecting them to do that. This team is in too much disarray to do that. But let's say they did and they made the playoff. Even if they just lose, that's an invaluable experience for young players that have never been there, and that could feed into the next year. I'm not looking for them to do it. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's not just, I don't want it to not happen just because they lose. To me, that's a weak fan narrative. Don't be a weak fan. Oh, they're just going to lose. I don't want to go. That's being a weak fan. Because playoff experience is playoff experience. Even if you get your doors blown off, it could be the experience of, you see what you have to be able to do in the playoffs. It's a whole different ball game. You just learned a bad lesson. And how many times have the Steelers learned a lesson in the regular season by a big loss more than they would have a tight loss? It's still there. Yeah. But not recently, not lately. And this is all about what you've done for me lately. And man, 1-4 over the last 5, not good. Not good. But there's more problems with this team now. And for the first time, I don't see myself looking at the playoffs. I don't find myself hopeful. I don't want to look to next season until this one's done, until they are absolutely out of it. But in reality, if they're just going to keep playing the way they have the last 5 games, they are done. They are. It really is. And there's really nothing, the fact that they've done it that many games in a row, to make you think that they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is you just haven't seen it. And, you got things, you look at the team and you say, hey, the team, well, you and I have talked about it a little bit, that we kept waiting to see changes and improvement. Like, we were like, hey, the Steelers, they were finding ways to win games early on. And you're like, well, good, maybe this holds on until they kind of get things together like last year and get rolling later in the year. And they just never got it together and got rolling. And what happens is, the Steelers had figured out some ways to win some of those close games early in the year, which was something that they didn't do last year. And you thought, well, if they can get it together, they could take off and go. The problem is the Steelers are still trying to win games those same ways, and you just can't depend on that week in and week out. And we've talked about that before, that, they weren't going to be able to rely on winning games the way they were winning them early in the season. So now we're at a point where it's like, okay, they needed something else and they never got something else.
Yeah. And it really is, people are saying, well, I mean, if this team was a good team, I agree with you. But you want to know what? A team can be a good team to a bad team from week to week. I mean, my goodness, Miami Dolphins team that lost to the Titans, not a good team.
Yeah.
The next week, they put up 30 on a really good Jets defense and hold them scoreless. Good team. Look at Buffalo at times where they've looked bad, and then look how good they looked at other times. So The thing is, it can change throughout a season, and the Steelers are in a stretch where they are a very bad team. Arguably one of, if not the worst team in the NFL over the last 5 games. You could make the argument. I don't want to. That's why I'm not going to dig into it to defend it. But people could make that argument, and I would not disagree with them. So the thing is, that's why I kept saying, leave yourself in a situation to where you could get it figured out at the end of the year to roll into the playoffs. Last week was the week they needed to do that. And the thing is, the title of this episode is The Fragility of the 2023 Pittsburgh Steelers. Did we talk about this last year about how fragile everything was with the Steelers? Did we kind of talk about it maybe the year before? It seems like we've been talking about it a good bit, but there's so many things that went right for the Steelers early on in the season. Now, you could say, but wait a second, there were things that went wrong still. Yeah, they were without Deontay Johnson. They were without Cam Hayward. They had, they were without Minka with the strip for a stretch earlier in the season.
They were without Muth
and various
for a while.
things.
What's that? Muth.
Yeah, fair Muth for a while. They missed some players and stuff like that. And but notice in the games where things went wrong, they weren't in those games. When things went wrong against the Texans, they were done. I mean, the 49ers, that was just the 49ers. It was what it was. So when things went wrong for the Steelers early in the season, it wasn't week after week. But when you're talking, this little thing here, this little thing there, I still point to this past game. And there were 2 plays that really changed everything. I mean, they started to pull me in. The Steelers did this past game when they went up 13-0 a minute into the second quarter. And I'm
that didn't. No, I'm keeping tabs on the game while I'm announcing. Okay, as is one of the folks run the clock that works for me was there run the clock as well. So he's actually watching the game. I'm just keeping tabs. Ironically, I was able to keep tabs on ESPN Gamecast faster than it was showing up for him watching through the Game Pass or whatever on his phone. So anyway, we're sitting there watching the game, and the Steelers, when they went up 13-0, I was still worried.
So was I. I said it the knee jerk.
I mean beyond worried. Like, I was nowhere impressed with the Steelers yet. Because that second score was, a 1-yard drive.
Yeah.
That was not the offense getting it together.
And and losing yards on the first play, it was like, is the special teams going to set them up at the 1 and they're still going to find a way to flub this up?
Oh my gosh, I thought that was potentially going to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness, look at the difference in the New England game. If Michael Walker is able to return that interception for a touchdown, rather than give it to the Steelers who got nothing on it, that changes so much.
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about the 2 main plays, and Coach Tomlin highlighted them in his press conference yesterday. The one was that 3rd down misfire to Pat Freiermuth, whether it was on Muth, whether it was on Mitch. He wouldn't place blame. I don't blame him. I'm not sure. It might have been a little bit of each. I'll just go that way. But
no, it wasn't.
I think it was on Mitch. If I had to guess,
Did you? I was gonna say that one. I went and looked because I saw the clip on Coach KT Smith's 3 and out article. When you look at Mitch is throwing the ball, falling back, off the back foot and everything. And when he does that, that ball goes high. That was a miss, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Could there have been a little bit of miscommunication there? Maybe.
Yes. But that was third down. That was less than a minute left in the game. That converts it. If nothing else, that keeps the Steelers from giving the ball back. But maybe they move it to get some points. Maybe they don't. If they don't, then you're talking 13 to 7. But instead, they give it back and give up a touchdown in 3 plays. Technically 4, but one was a no play. And it was a 26-yard penalty. So that was huge. And then you do get the 3 and out to start the second half, and you fumble the ball away on the very first play.
Oh, just
to then give up a touchdown on the very next play. That's just. But the thing is that the Steelers had their opportunity to grab that game by the cojones, if you know what I mean, and say, "This is ours. You're not getting away," and they didn't. And they end up getting blown out because that's how fragile the team is. Now you could say there are other things that didn't go their way. If those things start stacking, that's when you get to be a blowout. You stack the back-to-back losing plays of losing safeties on top of those couple plays where the offense doesn't execute, boom, you're losing a game by 17 points.
Yep.
Because it's fragile. It's fragile just because everything the Steelers are doing is not good enough. The players aren't good enough. Their effort's not enough. The coaching's not enough. Everything is not enough. And it makes it fragile.
Well, the Steelers are fragile when they could at least pull off a game or try to stay in games here and there with an average quarterback who, when they go down, the backup comes in and you're getting less than average play.
Yeah.
Now you can't even beat 2-win teams.
Yes. And somebody said that in the live chat in the post game. I wish I knew who it was to quote them, and said, yeah, everybody who's complaining that Pickett ain't it.
Yes.
It just goes to show that average QB play is enough for the Steelers to succeed. But you're not getting that now.
Yes. I don't remember who it was either, but that's kind of what I was referencing there, because I saw that in the post game and was like, they are correct.
The Steelers, in order to be sitting at, they were at 7-4 before this 3-game slide. They were at 7-4, and they were getting around. We'll just round it off to average quarterback play.
Yeah.
Some people think it's less. Some people are thinking it's more. Let's just kind
some
of
games it was a little more. Some games it was a little less.
Yeah.
So I think it comes out to average.
And then you take that average play away, and you drop 3 games that were, at least 2 of them were the easiest ones on your schedule.
We drop all 3 of games that should have been winnable.
Yes.
And you lose all 3, and honestly, they aren't really that close.
No.
So.
No.
Yep.
So, that's where we are. And of course, then that means other things start to fall apart. Let's talk about a few other things. Cam Hayward's in the concussion protocol. He did practice limited today, so that means he has a chance to move through it. We'll see if he actually does. Kenny Pickett came back to practice today, but the word was he was getting QB4 reps. He was stepping in after the other 3 were getting their stuff just to get some work in. He was limited. I caught the very beginning of the hangover yesterday before I had to travel, because before I had to drive my son to fencing practice. That wouldn't it be just another slap in the face to Mason Rudolph for the week that they announce him that he's going to start the week as the starter, to actually have Kenny Pickett progress and come back and play the game. Wouldn't that just kind of put a bow on Mason Rudolph's time in Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
that's the way it played out.
Yeah, that would be, Mason would be like, "Oh, I can't win," mm-hmm. And so it would be like, "That's okay. Neither can Trubisky."
Yeah. It's funny because Mark says you were still getting beat by the Cardinals even with Pickett, but I guess it wasn't until Pickett got injured and they didn't convert on that fourth down that the Steelers lost that game.
Yep. Correct.
So until Kenny Pickett went out, they were not losing that game. Now you could say, but the offense hadn't come back to the field. You could say that as well. But also, if Kenny Pickett doesn't go out, he did miss an offensive play before the Cardinals did anything. And it was a pretty big one that he missed. And everything. So we could talk about, was Kenny Pickett the quarterback of the future in 2024 and all that? You know what?
At this point,
that's not going to help the Steelers for the next 3 games.
No.
And what I want to see from the Steelers of the next 3 games more than anything is I want to see them do something to build on. Something to build on.
For the first time in a long time, though, I'm not anticipating that.
I'm not either.
Typically, I do. But I've just got too much feeling that this team has quit.
No, and the thing is, I feel a lot like
not all the players have quit.
Yeah. But it takes a lot. But I feel like I did at this time of the season in 2020 when the wheels were starting to fall off after the hot start. But at least there I had some hope that I'm like, you can find what you had before because the Steelers weren't just getting by and a fragile team. I mean, when they went to face Tennessee finally, but those 2 teams were 2 of the better teams in the NFL, and the Steelers trounced them, if I'm remembering the right year.
I'm not sure if you're remembering the right year or not.
I don't know if I can or not. I don't know if it was Tennessee in 2020, but it was somewhere in there. But there was someone early of a team that they were supposed to, lose to, and they did well. So you felt like there was something there that you could try to grab a hold of. Is there really anything from earlier this season other than just finding a way to win and just get by that you can that you can hearken back to, that the Steelers, if only you could call on what you had at this point of the season this past year? They don't really have that.
No.
They don't.
No, the only thing, honestly, the only thing I can really hang my hat on right now for this year is honestly 2 players, and that would be TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. And some people would argue about Highsmith. Cam Hayward is getting up there. And this is just not Minkah Fitzpatrick's year. And I think it goes back to the decision to try to make him more the Terrell Edmonds type rather than have Terrell Edmonds with him.
Maybe.
I just don't know that they ever used Minkah quite right. So there's a lot of things to talk about going forward, but to me, I want to talk about what they could do this week. Because we only, some people are like, oh, you're only going to get, we only have to endure 3 more games of the Steelers team, which is true. But at the same time, fast forward 3 months, and I'd probably still give anything to have another opportunity to watch even this team play again, just because we won't have it.
Forget that. Fast forward 5 weeks.
Probably. Yeah.
1 week off, and everybody will be like, man, I miss seeing the Steelers play.
Yeah, I miss seeing the Steelers play. But my thing is I just want to feel a little bit more optimism. Yes, the Steelers need to overhaul their offensive coaching, and there's going to be a change because they have an opening at the offensive coordinator. But I said it before, I think it was in the post game, that it needs to be more than just the coordinator. The coordinator has to have free reign to come in and and replace coaches and players as they see fit.
Yeah, I don't even want to start that conversation because that's a conversation I really, really, really want to get into, but I want to wait till the Steelers.
Exactly, that's the thing. So
because like
I'm not
right
laying
now,
my
I've
hope
got
on that
some,
yet.
Right, I've got some I already have thoughts and things on all that. Not ready to talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Let's actually let the season finish, and we'll have plenty of time then to talk about all that. And I've got lots of thoughts and feelings on some things in there.
As do I.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we will get into those. But right now I guess you know what? No, I think we should break.
Okay.
And then I have a question I want to ask you. But I think
I had a good one for you too, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, but let's break because it's kind of a little bit of a shift of gears from what we've been talking about.
Okay, good. And because there's still some other things, even some bad things that we can't just ignore that we'll have to talk about. So we'll take our break. We'll ask these couple questions. We'll touch on some of these topics that are here, and then we'll talk about what we're looking at for this week. So if you're with us here on YouTube, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us here on Facebook or Facebook or Twitter, but if you're with us on the audio, we'll be right back after these messages. All right, Steelers fans, we are back. Rich, you say you got a question? Let's hit it up.
All right. So the question is for you. Is there anything that the Steelers can do this week to win a football game?
Well, and that kind of turns around to what I was going to ask you. What I was going to ask you was, so Rich, the fact that the Steelers are not just sticking with the same old song and dance that obviously wasn't working at the quarterback position, do you feel differently about this week knowing that the Steelers made a change?
No.
Because we're kind of talking, you could be talking, because my question could be the answer to your question. Doesn't have to be, but it could be. So, is there anything to see this week that would make me feel better? You know what I would like? You know what I'd like to see?
Go ahead. Tell me what you'd like to see.
How about some interceptions from the secondary? How about a Joey Porter interception or Patrick Peterson, Patrick Peterson has not been playing bad. Well, Joey Porter had a rough game last game, but at the same time, there's just with everything going on at safety, you're wondering how much those guys are even going to have passes coming their way if there's other places that they could pick on. So other than the pass rush wreaking havoc, I don't know. I mean, it's not that the Steelers can't win this game. I mean, if the pass rush wreaks havoc to where the Bengals offense can't do anything, if they even get some takeaways, possibly even a score, could they win it? Yeah. But that's a tough way to bank on a football game to win it.
Yeah.
So,
well, the way I have is even tougher.
How's that?
Kenny Pickett would probably have to come back pretty much healed and re-energize the offense.
Mm-hmm.
For the Steelers, in my opinion, to have any chance.
Gotcha. So you are definitely not sold on Mason Rudolph, getting the reps this week and being all right to go. And
I don't see him changing the swag of the swagger that the offense would need. No, he doesn't. Honestly, the move to Mason Rudolph is probably being done to shut the fans up.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest,
but I'll be honest with you.
Me being bluntly honest, I think that's what this move is for.
And I don't
And
know.
it can't be any worse than Trubisky. It cannot be worse than Trubisky.
Well, it
and
can.
the fans then can't keep hollering for Mason.
Yeah. It could it be worse? It could. It could. Not likely, but it could. You know,
I'm just finding it.
Yeah.
I'm just finding it absolutely hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's out there yelling for Mason right now were the same fans that were calling him a bum and then he needed to be out of the league back in 2019 when Ben gets hurt.
You know what? I think some of those fans is what's going on with them. They see players that played for the Steelers going other places and doing things that aren't terrible, and they don't want a repeat of that with Mason Rudolph. Honestly.
Maybe.
But then at the same time, look at how many people were maybe not on this show, but in other shows, in the live chat screaming, oh, look at the Steelers, the dumb move they made to not keep Josh Dobbs. Look at how he's tearing it up. Okay, he was the third QB last week because he comes in, he gives you that spark, but it fades.
Yep.
You know? So, but I mean, you also got to look at, you know, James Conner running well against Steelers, but like I said, almost half his yards were on that last drive. So, but I think that's part of it. So, some people are, the best player is the one that you can't critique what they're doing in some fans' mind because they believe they're going to be out there getting the job done. I wanted the Steelers to draft Mason Rudolph when they did. I actually wanted them to take him. If they would have taken him in the first round, I wouldn't have complained. Thought they'd take him in the second round. So then they took him in the third round. And it's only because of, you know, that was really before I was diving into a lot of draft stuff. And just what I heard is I thought maybe he could be something. But it's just a lot of stuff didn't go his way. It would be really nice for him to play well.
Oh yeah.
But I really
don't
want to see it for him personally after
Correct.
everything else, after what happened in 2019, after the helmet, after having to come in. It's funny because I think Bob Labriola said that Ben Roethlisberger ended up with a concussion before the Lions game. No, it was COVID when he came in that game, and it was the tie, which was, you're like, he couldn't even beat the Lions. Well, but he wasn't the guy that fumbled the ball. You know, two different receivers fumbling the ball when he's moving them down to win a game. Granted, he didn't play great, but it would be really nice for him to put up a good performance. I'm just not banking on it.
Yeah,
it's not that he can't.
Right.
It's just I don't even trust the pieces around him.
Well, that's the thing. How good is he going to be if receivers aren't running good routes? If the offensive line isn't run blocking or pass blocking well?
Yeah.
You know, it's
the
like
offensive line, that might have been their worst game of the season.
Oh, that was not real pretty.
Yeah. They were not good. It's just they seem in a funk. It seems more than just their ability to play. And I can't remember who I said this to. For all I know, you and I have a confession to make. Normally we don't talk from game until the show. We actually talked for a little bit this time because someone showed up Christmas caroling at my house this weekend as he was passing through. Didn't even tell me he was coming.
I just thought it would be funny.
And my youngest son loved it.
And actually, your youngest son is really the reason I stopped.
Yep. So I can't remember if I said this to you, if I said it on the show, if I said it on the phone to my father. I'm trying to remember, and now I can't even remember what it was I was talking about to say what it was I was saying. But now I got it again. It's almost like this offense believed that Matt Canada was all their problems. And Matt Canada was gone, and they put up 400 yards, and here we are. We're good. We could now put it in overdrive. Okay.
Read this from Tyler. You
started
talking, and I'd already read this and thought it was great.
Oh, he said the players realized that they're the problem, not Canada. Tomlin called their bluff. In other words, it just, I mean, first of all, it just sucks because it's still the same system because you can't replace the system. That's one. Too much. Two, we said it last year when people wanted Canada to be fired midseason that it's not like Mike Sullivan is a great play caller with what he's done before. So it's not like you're going to be better. I just thought, sometimes you just gotta cut loose what's dragging you down. Even if what you have isn't all that much better, the one thing that's just bringing down the energy has to go. And that's what the Steelers did. And they had a little bit of energy for a game. And then I think they believed that, everything that made us not superstars is gone. Matt Canada has been I think individually,
yes,
a number of players thought Matt Canada has been holding me back. Now there's no Matt Canada holding them back. Now they're still not all that great.
Yep.
And now they're getting mad. And they're claiming that they can't block downfield because they don't want to get rolled up on and hurt. That's just one example. That's not the only one.
No, but
I mean, that's the monkey in the room. We kind of the monkey in the room, or the monkey on your back. I didn't say it right. The what is it? The
elephant in
the room. I'm getting my I'm getting my animals crossed. Elephant in the room. Okay.
Dave.
I know. It's just one of those nights. It's
Dave,
the elephant in the room. But
what do you get when you cross a rhinoceros and an elephant?
Oh, I know. Or maybe I don't.
Okay.
That would I know.
That's right.
Anyway, oh brother. Bottom line, let's talk about George Pickens because I know people were talking about it earlier,
Yep.
and we can't just gloss over it.
No, we can't.
Oh my goodness! Didn't want to continue his block downfield because he didn't want to get rolled up on and hurt on a play that I don't know. There's so many other ways you can take this to say. So in other words, what you're saying, George, is you're not good enough at blocking anyway. That it's what you're doing to help on that play isn't actually going to be helpful enough to be worth the risk of not having you for a different play. That's what he's saying. But to me, I
don't know that you're all that good on a different play as well.
To me, I think he is going to lose so much in the locker room.
Yep.
From that comment.
Yep.
Now, I wouldn't say this as a fan because I don't think I would have the right to because this is an NFL player. But if I was a player in the locker room, the label I would put on George Pickens, I would say is something that's usually used to refer to either a cat or a willow.
That's funny because that's exactly where I was going.
That's probably what the players are thinking about him right now.
Yeah. Yep.
If that's really what he was doing.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you think he was just being honest? Or do you think he was trying to make an excuse that ended up being worse than the reason of him just being lazy?
I think he was trying to make up an excuse that ended up sounding worse than if he'd just said, "Yeah, dude, I just took the play off."
Yeah, I didn't realize he was. By the time he made it that far, I thought he was going to be good. Yeah. And so I eased up.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't have. My bad. I mean, if that's the truth. If the other thing is the truth, well, at least you want to commend him for saying it, but he's going to probably carry that label around in the locker room. So, but that creates a bit of a problem. And a lot of Steelers fans are just wanting him to be benched or done.
Sorry, I can't help it.
I think, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up, Rich. But we both had the same comment at the same time. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian Brown.
But we're not gonna bring that one up. But yeah, that's a good one. So don't you wish that somebody Sharon Richards, we'll bring this up because I started to say this and then I saw this. Boykin would have blasted that guy. Georgia soft. Don't you wish somebody that has the heart and the desire to stick your nose in there, like Miles Boykin, could actually have the skill set of George Pickens so you could play him all the time? Bottom line is, the NFL, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's someone who has the nose of Miles Boykin and maybe not the exact skill of George Pickens, because that guy does do some crazy athletic stuff that don't know that you could completely make this apple to apple comparison. But in other words, you don't have the Hines Ward.
Nope.
You don't have the player that is a great receiver and willing to do everything else when he's not receiving the ball.
And be the leader in the locker room.
Yep.
And you think about when I think of Hines Ward, I also think of another receiver that basically, I looked at as kind of Hines Ward Jr. was Antoine Randall L.
Yeah.
Right? Why I think part of what ended up making Randall L a very good receiver for the Steelers was Hines Ward.
Yeah.
Was Hines Ward had a style of play and everything, and he instilled those things onto Randall L. Randall L was the same way. And right now, the Steelers receiving room, and when I say receiving room, I'm including tight ends, wide receivers, don't have it.
Yeah. And that's why so many fans are calling bring Hines Ward in as the receivers coach. Everything, he was, head coach. Was it XFL or USF? I don't remember. I can't keep. Now they're the same thing. But he was a coach there.
Did Dave freeze, or did I freeze? Uh-oh. Hello.
I'm back. Did you talk?
You're back.
While I was
now.
there.
No, I couldn't figure out who was frozen. You or me?
That's what I was saying at first, and then I saw my internet thing down in the corner just completely be gone. I had no internet for a while.
Well, okay. Finally, they're letting me know. Now everybody's letting me know. It's Dave. It's Dave. It's Dave. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. So,
yeah. So I mean, don't we sound like a couple of old guys sitting around talking about the current Steelers?
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day. We just need to make the jokes what's Waldorf and the other guy?
Stadler.
There we go. I almost said Sandler. I knew that was wrong.
Stadler and Waldorf.
Stadler and Waldorf. If we could make the jokes like them, we could.
Which actually is funny. I just was before you hopped on here earlier this evening. I was watching a Weezer video, the Keep Fishing Weezer video with the Muppets, and they were on at the end.
Yep, because for those of you that don't know, Stadler and Waldorf, that's the two old guys that sit in the balcony. And they're throwing it. But we sound like a couple old guys like, why can't these young whippersnapper receivers on the Steelers be more like the guy back in my day? Even though back in our day wasn't all that long ago. But it really is true. It really is true. So, you want to say anything else about Pickens?
The offensive side of the football right now for the Steelers is missing leadership. Yes. And it's missing leadership that it had for years. And honestly, one of the people I'm not even putting into that is Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not putting Ben Roethlisberger in there. I'm thinking of guys like, Hines Ward and Jerome Bettis.
Yes.
And, you had guys that constantly, in the locker room, talked the talk and walked the walk.
I'm going to say another one since then. That they miss. That's Marquise Pouncey.
Yes.
Ben knew that Pouncey was the leader of the offense.
Correct. Yes.
Ben knew that. And that's why he would vote for Pouncey as team MVP every year. So, yep. Kyle had a comment earlier on was brought up, Kyle Smith, and then he has a super chat now, which goes along the same line because I thought it was very interesting what he said before. So I'm glad he did this one because now I have it easier there. He throws $5 in the tip jar. Thank you very much, Kyle. That says people don't want another AB. I wish Pickens were AB. He gave 100% on everything so long as he was on the field. Pickens has the attitude, not the ethic. You would not criticize Antonio Brown's work ethic. He was the first one on the field and the last one off the field every day at training camp. He knew what it took to work hard. It was
what got him.
Why you can say why, and the people have their theories, but from 2018, the end of 2018 on, he just lost. It was never the same again, no matter where.
Right. Well, you can say no matter where he went, but even when he was still with the Steelers, until we had the no-show game, the issues were never between the lines until right there at the very end.
Yeah.
That he took it to be between the lines. All the issues were things that were outside the lines of the field.
Yeah.
Until the no-show game. Till we had that. And which then he was gone. So I think Kyle's comment there was very, very pertinent.
Yeah. I agree.
We were willing to put up with a little bit more of some of the extra stuff you got from AB off the field because everything was business on the field.
Because he was arguably the best wide receiver in the league on the field.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just so therefore the question is, can that kind of issue be fixed between now and the end of the season? Can it be fixed for next year? What's going to happen? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. Let's just see. I'll be very interesting to see what kind of effort we get from number 14 this weekend. And I'd be very interesting to see if I wouldn't be shocked if they announced the offense if he's not announced as a starter, but beyond that, I don't know what they're doing. At least Coach Tomlin said he's like, there's still places to grow. And then they asked him about that play. He's like, that's an example of places to grow. So Tomlin basically said, yeah, that was not good. So it is what it is. I don't like talking about this either, but we're getting towards the end of the show. It's another elephant in the room. It's not a monkey in the room. A monkey on an elephant in the room. A monkey on the back of an elephant in the room.
There you go.
There you go. That's what it is.
There you go.
And that is, even though I don't know how everything's going with the appeal, but the Steelers lost another safety for the remainder of the season due to the suspension of DeMonte Casey. Is there anything you would like to say? I know a lot of people have a lot to say about that.
Oh, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I will sum it up very, very simple. Okay. In four words. Okay. See Tom Brady's comments.
Yeah,
that's it.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
you actually said that before Tom Brady said it. You put it in the Slack channel, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. But I'm I've always despised Tom Brady. But there have been times, both during his career and since, where I give Tom Brady credit.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
You can't say he wasn't a good
basically,
player.
what are we saying? What are we saying to safeties that they're supposed to do now? Are they supposed to just let the guy catch the ball and touch him? Wait till he's down and around, touch him? My comment, I think I threw out there, I don't remember if it's in the Slack channel or it was on the post-game shows, like, I think we should just tell all our receivers going across the middle now, just dive every time. No matter if you need to, just dive.
Because there's no way they can hit you without it being a penalty.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
which is true.
dive for every ball and get the calls.
Okay. Now I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. Is I was not surprised it was a penalty, and I'm not even surprised it was ejected. The suspension thing, I felt for the rest of the season and potentially playoffs. You don't have to worry about that because, as we know,
Playoffs?
yeah, that's not something to worry about. But okay,
Steelers,
yeah,
Pittsburgh,
and that's the thing. That's why Josh Dobbs got benched
because he threw Justin Jefferson. That's right, threw a hospital ball.
Yes,
and they benched him for it.
Now, I will tell you this, because some people are like, oh, but it wasn't helmet to helmet. He wasn't called for helmet to helmet. And they're like, he hit his shoulder into his shoulder, and you got to look at the other angle. And I'm not saying it was KZ's intent, and I'm not saying that he could have done anything different, but he snapped his head back far with his shoulder into his face mask when you look at the other camera angle. I get why they threw the flag. I get probably because now here's my question to you. Is KZ ejected and suspended if that's one of 8 1 p.m. games on Sunday?
No.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, your answer. That has everything to do with it being a stand-alone game on national TV.
And not just on national TV.
How many other times before?
Not just on national TV.
Yeah.
On the NFL network.
Yes.
The NFL's network.
Yes.
So you don't do that on our network.
So will the NFL ever say that the only option KZ had there was to not hit him? They won't say that. But without saying it, they'll say it.
That's
his option
what the
there
suspension
was
is.
if you can't make a hit without doing that, then don't hit the guy. You are supposed to just let him catch it and touch him down. They can't say that. But in essence, but without saying it, they're saying it.
Yeah, they said it.
Yeah.
There you go. I saw this too. And yes, I actually went back and listened to Rich Eisen show yesterday, and Rich Eisen said while he was calling the game, he said he could see that hit coming a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
He said when Minshew let go of the ball, he almost said a bad word on live TV.
Yeah. Now, so that's what I think stinks, because bottom line is 8 years ago, this wouldn't have been a penalty. I don't know that it even been a penalty.
Correct.
15 years ago, it would have probably won him some sort of side award. But that's the NFL today. And based on the NFL today, whether you agree with it or not, that's what is coming. Like, so many times I say stuff that I have to remind people. It's not that I agree with it. It's just the way it is. I don't agree with certain things, but I just know that it's coming. I seeing that and knowing the NFL today, he's going to get that flag and he's going to get that ejection. And yes, and the biggest thing was the way the head bent backwards when you saw it from the other angle. If he could have glanced with his shoulder off the top of his head and kind of gone a little bit more over the top of him, he probably would have still got the penalty, but not the ejection. It damaged the look of the Shield on their channel. And like Steelers Freak said, Jack Lambert would be arrested for attempted murder playing today.
I'll tell you again, this just goes on to, well, let's see, who was I talking with? I don't even remember who it was. But just put it this way. If I did not work for the Steel Curtain Network, I would not watch much football anymore.
Just because
they have the league has made NFL football almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
To me. Okay. And here's why. Okay. I've always told you that I despise college football. And the NFL is trying to turn NFL football into college football or worse.
Yeah.
And I like, if I didn't do the work for Steel Curtain Network, I would have quit watching probably even Steelers games 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Because of the frustration with the NFL and what they're...
Yeah, or I would just watch when I could. Like, I would have other things I would do with some of my time.
You would prioritize over top of it. Here's something. World Traveler 70 says you can't penalize or fine physical play out of football. You know what? They're trying as hard as they can to do it.
They're trying.
I'm not right. So it hasn't been proved yet if they can or can't. But let's just say how much things, the changes they made with James Harrison. And then he gets called for, what was the Browns quarterback? I don't even care who it was, that he completely jacked up with this. Like, that's the kind of stuff they're trying to get out of there. You don't see that nearly as much because they've been fining it and penalizing it out of the game. Now it's new stuff. Bottom line is the NFL, makes money
but the thing is
team
now you
scoring
end up,
points.
But now you end up seeing quarterbacks get away from rushers and things that they never would have before. And it's like, you wonder why they get away. Well, that's because the rushers are afraid to hit them because they're going to get flagged and fined.
Yeah. And the thing is this is what bothers me the most about everything with KZ. Like I'm saying, I'm not surprised by any of this. I'm not surprised at the suspension, the fine, people that are like, oh, that's so terrible. You could say it's terrible. I thought it was coming based on what I saw, based on what the NFL has said and what happened. I'm not denying what happened isn't something that went against what the NFL said. I'm just saying what the NFL has done to get there. And that is, they have put all the responsibility of the safety of the offense on the defensive players.
Yeah.
So now the offensive players who used to not, offensive players used to make that business decision. You don't want to go up over the middle and get absolutely pummeled. You just kind of put one arm up and duck a little bit and you can't quite get the ball. You still see it some, but you don't see it as much. You know why? Because they can go up and make that catch because it's on the defense to make sure the offensive player doesn't get hurt, not for the offensive player to protect themselves. The offensive player is no longer responsible for protecting himself.
Right.
It's the defense.
And that's why
that's and that's why the offense that's why they're doing these things, like you said.
And that's now why you see quarterbacks throwing hospital balls.
Exactly. Because receivers
you would have never seen that. You would have never seen that in the NFL, that throw be made 15 years ago.
No.
Because if you made too many of those throws, you didn't last because you were getting your receivers killed.
Exactly.
Now you see those throws all the time because the defense either isn't hitting guys or they're hitting guys and getting fined and suspended.
Yes.
Outside Steeler fan, I'm starting to agree. Why?
Yeah.
Well, right. Well, just,
Yeah. Mr. Woodplus, I said it. QB would be benched. All right.
Yes.
I've got to get these. Yeah. You like Josh Dobbs was for getting, Jefferson killed on his first game back. Yeah. The responsibility is on the quarterback to not put the ball there because the receiver shouldn't have to be expected to go get that ball. But now the quarterback puts the ball there. The receiver's willing to go get it. And he's going to either be safe. Now, because the thing is, that hit, you still don't want to take that hit. But in today's NFL, you'd make that play expecting for that hit not to come.
Yep.
So here we go. Let's see. I got Kyle's earlier. Here we go. Stillers Reaper $4.99 at the tip jar says, Merry Christmas, guys, to you and your families. Merry Christmas to you as well, Steelers Reaper. Wish me luck going to the game Saturday. Take care. Yeah, enjoy that one. I'll give you this. I don't think it'll be that bad unless you have to exit the stadium 3 times. I got you beat still.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then Kathy Ford says, this penalty will make everyone even less motivated to play hard. Well, that's my infamous play hard. Thank you, Kathy. I get your reference, $5 in the tip jar. I assume you're referencing where Jeff and Brian laugh at where I say that you got to play hard. Not it'll make the defense second guess or think twice about making that hit. And I not because they don't want to hurt the guy, but because they don't want to hurt their own livelihood with fines, suspensions without pay, and things of that nature. And it's just not worth it. I mean, Rich, you and I were at the game, KZ's first game with the Steelers in the regular season, where he came back off of IR. And that was he had to start because Minka was out, and he started last year against the Saints. Yes. There was a play to Chris Olave down the sidelines. We're looking at it from the end zone, so it was on our left side. So if you're watching it on TV, it would have been, they were moving left, it would have been the far sideline. And KZ comes over on the sideline and separates the ball from him. He got flagged for it. 15 yards, they get a first down, all the other stuff. If he doesn't do it, he catches the ball.
Right.
And if anything else, he made him think twice about catching that ball again. But that's the repeat offender stuff that the NFL is talking about. He's been fined 5 times this year. I think 2 or 3 of them were rescinded, and everything. And then if you saw on social media him jacking up Cam Newton when he was sliding back when he was with the Falcons, and so they're talking about all this history and everything with KZ. So I mean that could come into it, but my thing is it's to a point now you can't even hit someone hard to send a message. I expected him to get flagged on the big hit he had earlier in the game because the NFL has basically made it every time there's a hard hit, there is a reason you could throw the flag for it. Because they want
Sherry says if the NFL keeps it up, it's going to be flag football. Are you going to watch? Not me.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's almost getting to that unwatchable point now for me, Sherry. That's what I'm talking about. That honestly, if it wasn't for the work I do for Steel Curtain Network, I would be spending more of my weekend time doing some other things and not always watching football.
Yeah. So. And as Steelers Freak says, this really sums it up because this is something a point I was trying to make when I got sidetracked. He's like, NFL wants high scoring games for cash, and it'll continue to change the rules against the defense's favor. End of story. That's why it's the responsibilities on the defense to protect the offensive players. They want the offensive players running free and clear to make those graceful, wonderful catches and everything that they don't want to overturn on the sidelines when their heel comes down out of bounds, because then they can't put them on their cool highlight films.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to harken back to the Rams game. And things of that nature, because that's what they're selling now. That's what they're selling. And see, but this also comes right back to George Pickens again and his attitude and his problems. He hasn't been getting the opportunity to have those highlight catches. I don't even know if George Pickens cares about touchdowns. I don't know if George Pickens cares about winning. But I tell you what, I think George Pickens cares about showing up on a highlight reel.
Yep.
For the right reason and not the wrong reason like he did this past week.
Exactly.
All right, we're way over. But these were issues I didn't really want to talk about, but we had to. And like I said, for people, I hope you don't give me too hard of the time that I'm like, no, I don't think the refs made the wrong call. I don't think,
Well, no, they call it according to the NFL rules.
Exactly.
I might not care for the NFL rules, but the refs enforced what the league has told them to enforce. But again, this is where I think the referees are being micromanaged by the NFL.
Yes. So many points of emphasis and everything. You know what? You can't legislate your way into safety, or to a better product on the field.
Correct.
And you know what? Actually, I mean, come on, think about it. When we were kids, we were playing games. Even, my goodness, how many football games did you and I play? One-on-one forever growing up, a ton. You can't. The more rules you make, the more of a chance you're going to have an argument.
Well, don't let me start to bring up the fact there's Dave changing the rules in the middle of the game again.
It's just easier. I mean, honestly, the less rules. I mean, that's why you put the chair there. If the ball hits the chair, it's a strike. If it doesn't, it's a ball.
Exactly.
It either does or it doesn't. You're not getting too fancy here or there. If the ball has to hit off this part on the house to be a double, that's just what it was. That was the more. But if you kept putting in more and adding rule on rule on rule on rule on rule, there was no way we were ever going to actually agree on that.
Right. And rules that could be interpreted in different ways. You had to keep them simple. You had to keep it easy.
And the NFL has done anything but that.
That's correct.
But they could put a chip in the ball and make it easier to measure. I mean, the chip's in the ball to figure out the spin rate for the
I know.
next gen stats. They could use the chip that's in the ball to figure out, if it's a first down, if it crossed the goal line, all this other stuff. But they won't do that. They would just rather make all these.
No, because then they give up. But see, then technically they're giving up control. They're giving up control to a computer.
Yeah.
They want the officials to do things or not know where to spot the ball and call New York.
Yeah. Yep. And that's another thing. When you're the only game going on, you're going to get everything from New York. I don't think they went to a review, but someone from New York is in the.
Oh yeah.
They can do the quick reviews from New York without even the officials looking at it. I can all but guarantee that the decision to eject KZ came from New York.
Oh, I'm sure that probably within 6-7 seconds of the play being over was put into the referee's ear.
So, all right, Rich, we're way over, so you got to go quick because we're going to bring him up quick. Don't even know how much we're talking so much about other things. Yes, the Steelers play on Saturday. Yes, they have a chance to turn it around. No, a lot of us are thinking that they can't. Yes, there's plenty of people that think that they can. Rich, give me your score before we then bring up everybody else's scores.
Okay, no faith in the Steelers. Bengals 28, Steelers 17.
28. You think the Steelers will score 17 with Mason Rudolph?
I think there's a chance, but this may actually be your defensive touchdown you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a chance they could get to that on the Bengals, but I think they're going to give up too many.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that because the defense is just now. There's probably no Jamar Chase, but you know what? I'm not banking on that. To me, it doesn't even matter who the other team has available. It really doesn't.
No,
Jake Browning, Joe Burrow,
look,
Joe Flacco.
Didn't we figure out how the Steelers they're going to get beat by the running backs and the tight ends?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the running.
That's what's been killing them.
It's the passing game to the running backs is what I think is killing them. I think that's what's going to get them.
Last game they got killed in the running game too. Yeah. But yes, I agree. In the passing game,
late in the game after they didn't have the lead anymore, but early on, what got the Colts the lead back was the passing game to the running backs.
Get the scores.
Afton, 12-17 Bengals. Still not getting it. 24-13 Steelers. He believes in Mason. Oh, Thomas. He's going big time score with his. Thomas Riley, 34 Steelers, 24 Bengals. Please tell me that was a typo and it was supposed to be 34-34. I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know. We'll find out.
He gave us the tie every week. We'll see. Steeler Chick 46 has Bengals 24, Steelers 14. David Poe says, my heart says 23-9. My head says 13-30. In other words, 23-9 Steelers. His head says 13-30 Bengals. Brian Brown has 24-21 Steelers. Boz hits a 56. Let's not even talk about the decision.
Yeah, let's not even get into that,
because that's another one that you could use the Willow description about that decision. So Gavin Anthony says Bungles 26-17. I'm so glad they beat them once already this season because to get swept by the Bungles.
The last thing I want to do is lose 2 to them.
Yeah. Okay. Toby has 24-17 Bengals. George Rice has 31-9 Bengals. John Walter has Bengals 27, Steelers 9. Outside Steelers fans, okay, we'll call you crazy if you want us to, but he has the Steelers beating up 42-12 because he believes in Mason. Okay. I would love nothing more than the Mason supporters be able to shut up the Mason haters. That would be a nice touch. Plus, it would be nice to have another Steelers win. Steelers Pittsburgh has 15-13 Wizard of Boz. Maybe the Steelers can save Christmas for us. That would be nice. Or else I'll just ignore the Steelers for Christmas. Mark Tobin has 35-10. That would be the Steelers. He's like, Mason lets him rip. So that's why guaranteed win. But didn't he guarantee win last week? I think he might have guaranteed win last week too. Kathy Ford has 24-17 Bengals. Steelers Reaper's going to be there, but he still says that. I assume it's he. Maybe it's she. I don't know. Says 31-6, not the Steelers. World Traveler 70 has 21-13 Bengals. Tyler W has Bengals 31, Steelers 19. Kyle Smith has 27-19 Bengals. Mr. Woodside has Steelers 24-23 and says take the over. Jeremiah Yoder has 17-14 Steelers. Frosty the Bear 31-17 Steelers. See, we got people believe him, but Frosty also said that the defense will have to score twice. Ruben Stone says 31-17 with Mason back. All right. Seth Phyllis. Is Phyllis? Yeah, okay. Says 13-48 Steelers. Mason's going to prove everybody. Mason's going to make everyone think that he's the future now. Maybe that's what that's going to be. Demetrios has Bengals 27, Steelers 13. Sherry Richards says the offense says Mitch is the problem, but it's going to be Bengals 26-24. Jamie. Is that Jamie? Jamie? I don't know. Rudolph has 14 passes because they have it being 33-17 Steelers. Steelers Freak says that they have officially taken your heart this week. Tom Vallejo has 24-21 Steelers. Is that the last one?
No.
Oh, I didn't realize there was a score in there.
Rand's 87, IROC Z.
Okay. Says he can see 3 TDs and field goal, being optimistic for a 24-17 Steelers win. To me, it's can the defense get back to keeping a team to less than 17 points?
Yeah,
and could the offense score more than 17 points? Those are 2 big question marks. You have to believe in. To me, I think a lot of it has to be that you got to believe in both those things.
Yep.
So, but you know what? I'm still going to be here for the preview on Thursday night. Reminder to everyone that comes a little bit later now because Jeff and I now have basketball practice till 9:00 for the foreseeable future, which is interesting. So that one will be a little bit later. Other than that, we'll have the same schedule as last week. I'll be back on the post-game show. I'm really glad that the Steelers aren't going to ruin my Christmas. At least it's not Christmas Eve. But you know what? They could really they could make my Christmas even more special by finding a way to win this game. But to me, it's not even about winning this game. It's not just about winning this game. The only way I'm really going to feel better is for them to play well and win this game. And we haven't really seen that, have we?
They need to not look like a bunch of Jagos out there on the field.
So we'll see. So that's what I'm going to do. So make sure you check out all our podcasts. And, of course, we're still bringing all the podcasts. We're bringing all the content at SteelCurtainNetwork.com. We're not going anywhere, even if the Steelers players kind of seem like they have. So, Rich, what do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
Hey, we won't be on here, the 2 of us together again until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, right. Dave.
Merry Christmas, big bro.
Merry
I'll
Christmas.
I'll talk to you on Christmas, but
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
I've been sporting my Christmas shirts ever since December started, rather than my Steelers gear. So I've got my one this tonight.
it would. Yeah. Would a Steelers win on Saturday be nice? Sure, it would. I don't know if we're going to. I never know what we're going to see for the Steelers week to week right now.
Yeah.
But I am going to be here on Saturday on my couch come 4:30 watching the Steelers. I have the entire family here as my daughter will be home from college. And I hope Kyle will at least watch a little bit of the game with me before he gets mad and bails. That's been his thing lately. He's just like, yeah, I can't take it.
And you're jealous.
I am a little jealous, but Jeremiah Yoder wishes Chewbacca a Merry Christmas. You saw that?
I have a Chewbacca Santa hat. I got to bust that out this week. Tune in for other shows.
Yeah, that's right. So, I'm still going to look forward to at least a little bit to the game on Saturday. Why? Because I really do realize that we are winding down on the football season. And, things really change when football's gone. Then suddenly I'll have some Sundays where, I get stuck inside here with the weather and it's like, okay, what now? I don't even have football to watch. At that point in time, I just got to hope that it's been plenty cold and there's ice on the lake so I can go ice fishing. I don't know. But until then, for the next 3 weeks at least, there will be Steelers football to watch, and I will be there to watch it. Can't wait.
Can't wait.